This video was supposed to come out in December, the month of my birth, as well as the time I took my first steps into gaming. I wanted to celebrate that occasion, so I decided to give myself the chance to choose what game I tackle. So I went with the franchise that I started my journey with, Crash Bandicoot. The first Crash Bandicoot was among the games that I got one fateful Christmas long ago, and if my memory serves me right, is the first game I played as well. Since I don't currently own the PS1, as well as the fact that Crash Bandicoot Warp is my favorite in the franchise, I decided to tackle the trilogy in the Sane remake. Given that I haven't played all three games in a while, I wonder if they still hold up, and if my tastes have changed enough for me to have a different opinion of them. We start this journey by selecting the first Crash, where upon starting we see how Crash is an experiment of dr.cortex, who escapes out a window after it is deemed a failure. Since he's no longer there, Cortex sets his eye on the female bandicoot Tana. We wake up at a beach, and I guess he immediately remembers what he left behind, so we start on our way back to rescue Tana. I assume, since the game really doesn't tell you and Crash doesn't talk. In this first level we see that I didn't lie, as my Crash rust is instantly apparent when I died twice in this level. Once even to a harmless crab. You'll notice that here I try to get all the gems I can, but I don't really go for 100%, since for the colored gems you have to get all the boxes without dying, and I'm honestly not good enough for that. Though this is a change from the original version, since in the original it was all gems, not only the colored ones. I'm also playing 3 games this time, so I don't want to linger here forever. Having warmed up in the first level, I honestly eased through the next couple of levels, even running through the first boss, Papu Papu, with ease. Here we get another difference new to the Insane trilogy. Now we can change into Coco, which we do, to make the experience even more new to us. Since Coco controls the same as Crash, we continue to have an easy time. We notice that when it comes to animal stages, only the original character meant for that animal can enter, which in the case of Crash 1 is, well, Crash. The first signs of the struggle that I'll have was in the native fortress, since I managed to die enough times to get an Aku Aku mask upon respawning, which is the game's way of telling you suck. The next time I struggled was when I got to the second boss, Ripperoo. For some reason I couldn't time the bombs to explode at the right time to hurt him, making me impatient, which led me to miss easy jumps over the water. I forgot to mention that in the first game, bonus round works differently from the next two. Here you have to collect 3 Tana tokens to activate them, and I'm glad that in this remake you can retry these because I was having trouble in some of these. Then, after I thought I was getting used to it, we reach Road to Nowhere. While not the most difficult level in this game, the difficulty is way higher than the levels before and right after. Naturally, since I'm way out of practice, I struggle a lot here, and hope that was the most I had to struggle for a single level. After defeating another boss in Koala Khan, we reach the third and final island, where the levels start feeling a lot more industrial than before, which is really cool since it makes you feel like you're getting closer to Cortex. After seeing what happens when you get all the boxes but die on a colored gem level, we get to the next boss, Pinstripe, who looks like a mafia boss. Having no difficulties in the last few levels, we had high hopes that we took into the high road. Unfortunately, that hope slowly went away as the deaths started to pile up. Not even the rope glitch was making this level easy. This is followed by another of the hardest level in the game, Slippery Climb. I'll cut in here to say that I found the high road to be the hardest level in this game, though if you're trying to complete it, Slippery Climb might be the most difficult one since it has a colored gem. Having passed the hardest point of the game, we continue on with some difficulty here and there, mostly due to bad depth perception. Reaching the next boss, Dr. Embryo, we do run into difficulty in the grounds that I kept missing the jumps because of the aforementioned depth perception issues. After several tries, we do manage to go on. Beating 2 more levels, we reach the final boss, Dr. Cortex. I personally had never reached here before, since when I was little, I struggled to even reach the high road, and when I originally got the Insane trilogy, I decided to skip right to Crash 2 and 3, so I was under the impression he was going to be easy, since I never actually seen anyone struggle here before. It was, however, deceptively hard for me for some reason. But after so many tries that I got an Aqua Mask, I finally was able to beat Crash 1 for the first time, scratching off one of my ultimate gaming goals. This being a video of the original trilogy, the adventure continues for us in Crash 2 Cortex Strikes Back. The second game opens up with Cortex finding a crystal after being shot down from his blimp. Then transition to Engine talking to Cortex about how they don't have any allies to collect crystals on Earth. But they do have enemies, states Cortex. As the scene transitions to Crash sleeping next to his sister Coco, who asks him to wake up and bring her a laptop battery, as if most people have more than one per laptop. This is the tutorial level of the second game as we gain control of Crash and we try to fulfill our sister's demand until we get kidnapped and gaslighted by Cortex to gather the crystals for him. While this game has a story better implemented than the first one, it's still very secondary. It boils down to Cortex manipulating Crash into getting the crystals, while Coco tries to warn Crash he is being manipulated, with a sprinkle of Dr. Embryo trying to hinder Cortex by sending bosses to defeat Crash.
As long as you are allied with Cortex, you are my sworn enemy, and I will do anything in my power to stop you.
I had never actually played all levels here since I didn't know about the secret levels when I was a kid. I decided to collect all gems here just so I can unlock the secret ending as one of my achievements. I didn't talk about it while playing the first game, but the levels there were laid out in a map, and to play the next level you had to beat the one you were on. Here it is different. You unlock a floor, and in each floor there is 5 levels you can play in any order. You have to beat all 5 levels, then a boss to unlock the next floor. Another difference here is the bonus rounds. Now they're just marked by a question mark platform, and all you need to activate them is stand on them. No more collecting tokens like in the first game. Deciding to play the levels in order anyways, we ease to the first few levels, with the first sign of the tediousness ahead being in the level called the Pit, which has a branching path and has us go back the other side with poor visibility to collect all boxes. Being in the first floor still, it was nothing more than a sign and not difficult this time. We reached the first boss, which is a rematch with Ripperoo. However, we just need to wait for him to stun himself so we have no difficulties from impatient this time around. Now on the second floor, we run into the first 2 levels being some that if you want to complete you need to return to. Then we see Polar for the first time, and here I'm gonna give a PSA announcement. While jumping on Polar, it's funny and it does give you lives. I just want you to know, if you do, it will claim those back. Never jump on Polar or he will get even. After Polar got even, we didn't have much issues on this floor. We even get through the Komodo Bros with ease. To treat ourselves, we changed to Coco from here on out. On floor 3, I instantly ran into problems in plant food, since I wanted to do the time gem here, which is a gem you get by reaching the end before the timer runs out in certain levels. I rushed and died so much that the first box of the level became the checkpoint box. After getting the time gem and no longer rushing, I started having an easy time once again. Getting to bear down, I take the easiest secret exit to spot, and with that we enter air crash once again and complete it. In Unbearable, Polar helps us escape his own kind, but then seemingly falls to his doom. Worried, we go back and check if he's okay, just to find out that not only is he okay, but that was a secret exit as well. Passing the secret level with our friend Polar, we face our next boss, Tiny Tiger, Tony's evil cousin. Like his cousin, he should have stuck with sports, since we easily beat him and continue on. In hanging out, anxiously checking towards the camera paid off as we stumbled upon a secret exit I didn't know about. Enjoying my luck while it lasts, we pass the secret level and keep going. My luck eventually runs out when I went into digging it, where its branching path appeared in my nightmares for days with how much I struggled here. Having finally passed this nightmare, I realized I had to do it again because I missed the secret exit on this level. Using Crash for better luck, I managed to keep the struggle to a minimum. Reaching the exit and completing Road to Ruin, I felt in a cleanup mood, so I went into Air Crash to get the secret exit there too. Thankfully, I didn't struggle with this one. Before going back to Snow Go, I remember that when I was a kid, I hated the ice physics of this game. For a split second, I wondered why. As I entered Snow Go, everything flooded back. The momentum of this ice is really inconsistent. When you stop, it's so hard to get started again, and if you hit something and stop, when you are going fast, if you jump, even if you're trying to move the opposite way, all the momentum you had comes back, making you move where you didn't intend to. Getting that done, I decided to check if I was missing any gems in the floors below, and did those before continuing on. After getting the missing gems and switching to Coco since Crash had worse luck, I went to continue only to realize Cold Hard Crash was next. For me, this is the hardest level in the whole trilogy if you're going for the gems, since you have to get to the end of a nitro-filled ice bath as well as getting back all without checkpoints while having the horrible ice physics. However, with time and the reminder that the PS5 controllers are around $70, we are able to make it happen. The next few levels were back to normal for me, so we get to and beat Engine, unlocking the last floor. Here, I was hoping to not have any more troubles, so that I can play my favorite of the trilogy, but fate had other plans. In comes Piston It Away, a level that really isn't that difficult until you are trying to get the gem. While I do not think this is the most difficult, it was, however, the least compatible with me. It took a desperation glitch jump to finally get over the single jump that had me stumped. The next 4 levels and the final boss took less time than me getting over that one jump.
You haven't seen the last of me, Crash Bandicoot.
At least Crash 2 is finally done, and despite all the trouble I had collecting the gems, I still find it a better time than Crash 1. Now, onto the third game, and to find out if the third game is still my favorite in the series, or if Crash 2 surpassed my childhood favorite. Crash 3 opens up with Cortex Space Station falling to Earth after we helped Embryo blow it up in the secret ending of the second game. The falling station set Uka Uka free, the true mastermind behind Cortex's plan, as well as the evil twin brother of our mask, Aku Aku. We see Uka Uka telling Cortex he is getting one last chance since his mess up managed to set him free.
I know we've had a few unfortunate setbacks.
And fail. But since your fumbling has managed to set me free, I am feeling generous.
And that they are enlisting the help of a time machine as well as its operator. Sensing Uka Uka's presence, Aku Aku warns Crash and Coco of the threat and takes them to the time machine to beat Cortex to the punch. From here, we see a similar structure to the second game, where we are given a choice of 5 levels, and once we beat them all and the boss, we get the next set. The difference here is that all of them are visible in just one hop.
Simply stand on a button and then jump into the portal.
The next insane specific difference to the previous 2 games is that we are given the choice to switch to Coco from the beginning instead of having to defeat the first boss. Choosing Coco, and with occasional taunts from Cortex and the current boss,
We will find out which one is more powerful.
we ease through the first set of levels, as well as the first boss, Tiny Tiger, who misunderstood us when we told him to pursue sports. We didn't mean combat sports. With him defeated, we unlock another change for the third game, power-ups. The first being a super belly flop, which we barely use unless the game forces us to. The next set of levels were just as easy as the ones before, except for one box that wouldn't break. It did break eventually, so with a huge momentum we run through the boss, Dingodile, and get the way more useful power-up of double jump. Here we finally meet the creator of the time machine, Entropy, who, like the two before him, says we're not gonna leave his area with the crystal. This is the part where when I was a kid I started having issues. I even once got stuck on his boss fight. Let's find out if it's still the same. This time I was able to ease through the area. The only issues I had was that I couldn't win a race and the secret level connected to that race, Hot Cocoa. I did manage with time and was even able to win against Entropy to unlock the Tornado Spin power-up, which turned out to be a lot less useful than when I was a kid. Still plenty useful though. The next 5 levels were easier than the set before. I really don't know if that's actually the case or if it means I'm getting better. We then get to Engine, who is the only boss Coco can fight in the trilogy, as well as the only one that occurs on a vehicle. This boss also has 2 faces, which on the second, Pearl the Tiger pops up in her own spaceship that adds to yours like some sort of megazord, which would be really cool if I wasn't distracted by the fact a tiger is flying a spaceship. Beating Engine unlocks the very skippable but very useful power-up of Bazooka, which allows you to, well, blast something with a bazooka. With another 5 levels down, we unlock the final fight, Cortex. This fight is one I remember struggling with a lot as a kid, and so I was preparing myself for the hardest fight and I won. Honestly, from my PS1 memories, I thought this was going to be the hardest Cortex fight, but it ended up being as easy as the second one. The first, which I thought it was going to be the easiest, ended up being the hardest. It's really interesting to see how your skill and experiences changes how you view the game when revisiting them. Now that I beat it, I guess we're done with the third game, is what I would like to say, but since I never got all the time relics, I never actually played all levels and unlocked the secret ending. So let's go back for those. Now, how do I get the time relics? Well, by beating a level fast, of course. You do have to have beaten the level before so you can go for the time relic. However, once you do, when you go back into the level, you will see a clock. Touching it will bring up the timer and get rid of all the Wampa fruits and your current Aku Aku mask, as well as changing some boxes into time boxes, which will freeze the timer for as many seconds as the number on them. Doing this properly requires the use of the final power-up we unlock when we beat Cortex, the running shoes, which allows us to sprint in speeds that makes the cameraman jealous. Since I'm pretty much playing the game for a second time, I'll only tell you about the levels that I encounter difficulties, which doesn't take long to happen, since I struggle in tiger riding levels, and Orient Express is the third level we tackle. I did manage to beat those eventually. Then came the level I thought I might struggle with, the underwater levels and jet ski levels. These levels ended up being not that bad to get the relics for. I guess there are some levels that getting the gem in is more difficult than beating fast. It's the conclusion I came to at the time, and it got cemented as a fact for me when I arrived at Tomb Time, a level I hadn't collected the gem for, and it took me almost 10 times as many tries to get the gem as it took me to get the relic. After knowing this fact, which does not apply to platinum relics since I didn't get any, collecting all the rest was pretty straightforward and a bit easy, to the point I wondered why I hadn't done this before. The only one that gave me issues was the secret level, Rings of Power. But after I got the hang of spinning through the hoops, I managed to get it done too. After finally getting all relics and gems, at least all the ones in the vanilla game, we see that the Cortex fight is once again prominent. Upon defeating him a second time, we get the true ending of this game, where we see a baby Cortex and Entropy fighting over Uka Uka in a lava-filled world. Finally, we finished the original trilogy, and while this video was meant to come out in the month of my birth, as well as the first time that I played the Crash Bandicoot series, December, it is really fitting that it came out in the month of love, since I still really love these games, and upon revisiting them, my appreciation for the first game grew exponentially, even though Crash Warp is still my favorite in the series. I know I always have a segment where I give pointers to fellow gamers, but this time there isn't really much to say. Just keep calm, cause most of the time you're gonna be the bigger obstacle. And when it comes to the second and third game, the slide jump is really useful for tight jumps. And with that, I hope no more holiday madness prevents me from posting like I want to. And I'll see you next time. Oh shit. Don't forget to kiss the like button. Like it.